So hi everyone, and welcome to another social science coffee break. I am Stacy Allen. I'm joined today by my colleague Paul Rombo, and we will be sharing with you one elementary and one secondary resource to promote digital competency alongside of your social science competencies. So today's elementary resource is the Cycle 2 Toolkit or Student Field Journals. They are for Cycle 2. And what I love about these journals or field kits, they've been around for a while, is that they're really all in one kind of package of graphic organizers that are linked to specific intellectual operations. They're completely customizable, and you can really print them off and use them as a basis for your year of teaching. Um, and they were developed by Kathy at ETSB, along with some different other collaborators that gave her input on them. And they are in Google Docs, so they're a great way for your students to practice digital competency in the way of navigating online documents, how you're adding text, how you type, how you add images, and so on within a document. So I'm going to open them up on our Societies and Territories website. At any time, you can find them under resources by type under the teachers menu and student field journals or toolkits. So you'll see here that there are three field journals that break up the different societies and time periods. They are in English and French adapted for French learners. So if I open up the field journals, for example, this one is Iroquois Society, Algonquin Societies, and Inca Societies around 1500. You'll see here the different activities as an example, all tied with the IOs. So they're having to establish facts, situate in time and space, and characterize the territory. So students have to look at the map and then write down what they've noticed. So just kind of scroll through. So here we have a key, E key WQ chart. I was going to say KWL, a timeline. So you'll just get an idea of some of the different organizers and graphics that exist. So these could be used in combination with any of the text on our Societies and Territories page in both French and English. So it's a great opportunity if students want to do part of their social studies or social sciences. Part of the years in English, part of the years in French. Well, then they can have the field journals in both languages. And once they're familiar with one, they can just use it in the second language. So it facilitates that kind of teaching if you're teaching in English and French part, dividing the year. I can't speak today, so thank you for your patience. You'll notice that this collection comes with a research process planner. So if you want to have your students conduct some research based on different resources like societies and territories and ones they might find elsewhere, that exists for you. It's a good timeline of a research process. You can also find more information about the inquiry process and research on our DCA website. So I'll just pull that up for you, dca.learnquebec.ca. And if you go under subjects and approaches and inquiry process, you'll find another resource or more resources related to research and inquiry. And this section of our site is currently being revamped in partnership with CUSLM librarians and the RUSI local consultants. And finally, you'll see here there's different evaluations and checklists that go along with the toolkits. So again, check those out if you're teaching Cycle 2. They're a great resource. They're all Google Docs, so you can make a copy, you can delete things, add things, whatever you like to customize it for your students and your educational context. Paul, I'm going to hand it over to you to share your secondary resource.
Hello, thank you very much, Stacy. And yes, welcome to Secondary Share in this week's lunchtime coffee break session. Um, I'm going to share something related to local history. I want to share a toolkit that I was surprised we didn't share before, called the Local History Toolkit. Basically, what this is, it's an approach, it's a set of ideas and classroom resources for teaching local history in Quebec, but it's through various community-based learning activities, inquiry activities in various subjects. And we built this toolkit a couple of years ago, and I'll show you that in a second. Uh, why to do it? Students can learn about local history in order to understand their community better. That's a big philosophical reason for doing it. And the flip side of that is when you understand your local history, you also understand the bigger picture, the provincial history, the national history, and so on, world history as well. Gives you a perspective and often they're connected, obviously. So I'm going to show you that, but I'll just say one last thing. The who is this what I'm going to show you is basically a couple resources for teachers, one being the local history toolkit page, and also where it lives on the secondary history site, and what I've been doing with some AI assistance. So let's take a look. So on the educator's site, the reason why I put on in the note in the slide, it's a topic page, is the local history is actually found in the topics menu. So you see it here as opposed to through a subject area. It's referred to, but to find the topic, it's here. So basically, you've got this approach, this sort of layered approach where it's really about people and it's also about the place. And you do that. You use documents and artifacts and images in order to get closer. And there's some tools that can help you, interview tools, and you're involved in different processes and different types of formats related to different subject areas. So there's a section talking about people in the community. And if you click here, you'll actually see that it jumps to a couple tools that we've categorized here as empathy tools. So these are actually links, culture reflection tools, focus questions that you can look into. And we've also tried to gather together some of the guides and tools that are available around Learn, interview tools, physical traces, research tools. Actually, in the Societies and Territories toolkit, which Stacy mentioned, there is a research process planner. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in there as well. And then the idea was that we wanted to give some models for how it could be used in different subject areas. So this is related to different arts activities, and I'll just show you what they look like as well. There's an activity in arts for doing portraits, for doing murals, photography, and each of the activities is sort of summarized in this template that I had designed and Sylvia had adapted for her needs, where we found that it's good to remember UDL principles for each phase of the learning activity for everything we do. You're thinking about engagement, you're thinking about how things are represented, you're thinking about what the students are actually doing as well, what they're acting, how they're expressing themselves, and for each one of these things, you're trying to think of different ways of doing things. So that's a great example of how to do local history. And at the bottom, we started connecting some resources. So Sylvia's collected some resources about art related to murals, portraits, and so on that you could do with local history. And I started a Wakelet, which will probably soon be changed to a Padlet, where there's some examples of doing local history. Now you can see that we've in our coffee breaks we did lots of examples of local history that haven't found their way to this, and I'm going to try to update this with those. But what I was curious about was, there's lots of places I mentioned local history, but there's way more places that I haven't mentioned doing local history in the program in our sites. So I collaborated with some AI tools, and I put some ideas up on the local history site, or sorry, the secondary history site. And that's part of what my share today is that if you go to the teacher's menu, there's now a menu item called local history. And it links back to the toolkit. So there's the link to the toolkit there, if you find it this way. And then I started generating some ideas for what could be done. And this is big in red. This is just an experiment. It's a proof of concept right now. I've looked at them very quickly, but I have not, at the time of making this video, checked them over for accuracy. But what I did was I ran the programs and the contents that we have in various contents through an AI Gemini. It was Gemini actually, a generative AI chat, and I created this list and these ideas, and then I used Notebook LM to make it look better and summarize it. And so this is an example, 13 pages of ideas for doing local history. And this was walking through the ruins, doing monuments, public-private space, infrastructure inquiry. And that's just one slide. And then it goes on. There's things about sedentarization, which I mentioned in another coffee break, um, different ideas for local history. So I'll just go down to the bottom. There's one for each level, secondary four. So you've got secondary four, you've got 10 ideas. You've got this one for um, indigenous recognition, local rivers, quiet revolution, missing women. These are all sections of our site and of the program. And here's one about industrial revolutions. You could map these structural evolutions. So a whole pile of ideas. There must be 40 different pages of ideas. Cenotaph inquiry, World War I and World War II. Matt Russell and I actually did a project on local history where we were looking at soldiers that had died in the war and their cenotaphs. So that's probably where they got that idea from. It's also mentioned on the site. So a whole bunch of different ideas to get you thinking. And my idea is to make a tech tip and show the prompts that I used. But you could guess what they would look like. They're basically, look at the program, look at this content page, look at this page, this section, give me some ideas for how I could do local history. And then in your context, you could say something like, given the fact that I live in this region, and in this area of town, and so on, and use AI to give you some ideas for some ways to make our content local. So that's my share. I hope you enjoyed that. That's our coffee break session for today. Um, we're finishing up the sessions in a couple weeks. The last two are going to be for a couple more teacher tools, teacher areas. In my case, for review materials for students as they prepare for the exams. So have a great day and enjoy the slightly warmer weather. Cheers.